Hi, I'm Dr Anne Aly and I'm going back to school with Student Edge.
Now, I understand that you and your family came from Egypt to Australia when you were about 2 years old?
That's right, I don't really remember it, but I've been told I was too.
Okay, well, I was gonna ask, do you have any memories of kind of growing up in a migrant camp or of that era?
No, not at all. I mean, we only spent 40 days in the migrant camp. I think my earliest memories are probably, being 4 or 5.
Was Australia welcoming to you and your family once you hit 5 and could remember this stuff?
I think my mum tells me the story of, people saying to her, say please, say thank you, that's what we do here in Australia. And they do talk about how difficult it was for them, particularly because they didn't know English very well.
Did you enjoy school at that time? I understand you moved school quite a bit. Did you have a chance to even kind of like education in sort of primary and high school?
Loved it. Apparently, so I started school when I was 4. Yep. And again, this is my mum telling the story, so I don't know how true it is because it involves me chucking a tantrum again. And apparently my sister had started school down the road at the Catholic school down the road. And it was my sister's first day of school, and apparently I had such a big tantrum I didn't want to leave. And so the nuns at that school just said to my mum, look, just leave her, go and get her a school uniform and she can start school today. So I started school a year early because I just loved it so much. I did enjoy school though. I mean, I had the usual kind of teenage angst growing up that I think everybody goes through.
Sure.
But I'm a big believer in telling stories and listening to other people's stories because it puts your own life into context. And you often think you can fall into a trap where you think you're so hard done by and your life was so challenging, and then you hear other people's stories and you go, wow, they had it much worse off than me.
So the regret never set in when you were 8 or 9 going, God, why did I sign up for another year of this, an extra year?
No, I did love school. I did well at school. I was very academically talented. I knew how to make my way through school. From the academic side, forget about sport. I learnt very early on that I would be the last one picked for sport, but the first one picked if somebody wanted to win an argument. So
sure.
That's where I put all my efforts into.
That has much application in your current profession, but we'll get to that because you did mention nuns, and I'm curious, as a practicing Muslim, what is it like to go to a Catholic school?
I went to a Catholic school very early on and then spent a lot of time in public schools and then finished my schooling years 9, 10, 11 and 12 at an Anglican school where I had to attend chapel service every morning, sing hymns, had my favourite hymns too, like there's some pretty jazzy ones, some are pretty boring, but some are really good, and read from the Bible and so on and so forth. So there was always this kind of, I'm Muslim at home and at school I'm somebody different. And I would ask my parents, what am I supposed to do when we say Lord's Prayer in chapel? Am I allowed to go to chapel? Is it okay to go to chapel? And my parents always taught me that we all worship the same God, so it didn't matter if I was fasting or practicing Muslim, that being in chapel was also worshipping God. Saying your prayers, whether it was in a church or in a mosque, was the same. Just different ways of worship, but same God.
I did read that you went to get your Bachelor of Arts in English Lit,
yep.
But you also minored in acting.
Yep.
Now, was this a potential career aspiration of yours? What was the kind of motivation to get into acting?
Yes, I started off studying economics and I found it so boring.
You thought, what's the
I thought, what am I doing here studying economics? And so I changed my major. I thought, if I'm going to be here for the next 3 years, I'm going to do something that I love. My parents didn't like it at all. They were like, what is this degree that you're doing in acting? You're going to be an actress? And my parents, typical ethnic parents, you're either a doctor or engineer. Which one are you going to be? Nothing else matters. So it was really just a matter of I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed acting. I enjoyed theatre arts. And if I was going to devote my time and my efforts into something, I wanted it to be something that I was going to enjoy. I thought, the job prospects and getting a job was something that I would think about later.
So it was mainly just, I'm just going to study what I like, that's what I know right now, and we'll see what happens at the end of the degree.
Yeah.
Well, what did happen at the end of the degree? Because you went back as a mature age student to get your master's and your PhD. I guess, what is the gap there? You know, what kind of inspired you to go back?
Well, I finished my degree and I was teaching English and came back to Australia, continued teaching English, and then had my second son and just, I really couldn't do the stay-at-home mum thing. Like, I could do it if I had some kind of intellectual stimulation. So went back to uni and thought, okay, well, I'll do a postgraduate. And I applied for two things. I applied for broadcasting because I'd actually done quite a bit of on-air broadcasting. I applied for broadcasting and I applied for a postgrad in linguistics. I didn't get into broadcasting and I did get into the linguistics, and so I thought, well, that must be what I'm meant to do. So I did that, and then from there moved straight into a Masters of Education, but continued teaching English and then moved into policy making. I would go and work in the morning, go to work in the morning, put my kids in daycare, pick them up from daycare, put them to bed at 7:30 and work till 4 a.m. studying, and then get up the next day and do it all over again. Lucky back then I didn't need a lot of sleep. I think I'm kind of catching up on it now, like still trying to catch up on all the sleep that I lost in my 20s. But it's interesting because a lot of people in their 20s lose sleep because they're out partying. I lost a lot of sleep in my 20s from doing those.
You were productive, so that's okay.
I don't know, partying can be productive.
Well,
let's not undervalue partying.
Okay. Had you ever entertained politics or kind of engaging in this way prior to that?
No, I hadn't. And if you had said to me, even a year ago, you're going to get into politics, I would have laughed in your face. Really, I would have laughed in your face and said, no way, not with a 10-foot pole.
What was keeping you away?
I was just really cynical about it. But it got to a point where doing what I was doing, I wasn't making the change that I wanted to see. And so when the opportunity, and I was given an opportunity, it was a major opportunity to be tapped on the shoulder to run for politics, albeit in a marginal seat, which meant that I had to do a lot of work for it. So when that opportunity came up, I discussed it with my family, and it came at the right point. Like, luck is all about timing, and for me, it was the timing was right, because I'd gotten to a point of absolute frustration at trying to make change from the outside, and it was an opportunity to try and make change from a different way, from the inside instead. It's
only been a few months, but do you feel like it is possible to make that change from the inside?
I've never been one to work within systems. Like, I've always been one to kind of like shake up the system a little bit. I don't know why. But like, even as an academic, people would say to me, wow, you're so anti-academic. I'd be like, yeah, I'm like more of a pracademic than an academic. I've never really been a person who fits in. I didn't feel that I fit in very well at school. Didn't fit in very well at uni. Didn't fit in very well in academia. And I don't imagine that I'm going to fit in very well here, but that's okay. I think that sometimes that's actually a good thing. And you know, whether or not I can make that change from within the system is yet to be seen, but it doesn't mean that I can't try.
You said that if I had mentioned to you that you'd be in politics a year ago, you would have laughed in my face. What if I had told you that you'd be lunching with Pauline Hanson? I mean, what is that experience?
That I would have like laughed at your face and pushed you out the door.
But these are the things you have to do. I mean, is it kind of refreshing to be able to sit down with these people who are in the position of kind of, you know, having been elected to create these policies?
Well, I think it's important to be role models. I think, you know, that's what leaders are. Leaders are role models, and people look up to us. Compared to some other politicians, some more right-wing politicians who have said very personal things about me, and who, you know, on their Facebook page, people are saying, oh, you know, Anne should be put out and shot, and, you know, she should be hanged. And, yeah, they're quite happy to let that happen. Pauline's never done anything like that to me. So I respect that in her, that she's never taken a personal shot at me, whereas others have. And so I, you know, show my respect by saying to her, well, let's break bread and let's sit down and find that point of commonality. Agree to disagree, but agree to disagree with respect to each other as well.
Hey everyone, if you enjoyed that video, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, or find more of our stuff at studentedge.com.au.